Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Family, Faith, and Friends. I'm so glad you're joining us again. Whether you've been with us since the beginning or you're tuning in for the first time, you're part of this community of connection, purpose, and love. I'm Keith Karkut, and I'm so glad you're here. This podcast is all about sharing stories that bring us closer together, stories of family, stories of faith, and stories of the friendships that make life meaningful. We're starting our first season right here in East Stroudsburg Presbyterian Church community. But my hope is that this grows into something much bigger, a place where people from all walks of life can gather, share, and be inspired. Over the last several episodes, we've explored the many ways faith touches our lives, through service, through laughter, and most recently through the powerful gift of music. Each conversation has reminded us that faith isn't just something we talk about, it's something we live. And today we're bringing all those ideas home, literally, as we talk about what it means to raise children in faith and create a home where God's love is woven into everyday life. This episode is entitled Faith in the Family, Raising the Next Generation. And I'd like to welcome our guests today, and we have the Gilbert family. We have, I tell you what, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience and tell them about yourself.
You got it. All right. Marianne Gilbert. I'm the mom of this one, and I have my son is not with us today. He's with my mother-in-law. His name is Walter. I'm a member of the church. I have, as stated last week, I sing in the choir and the bell choir, and I'm the alternate to hymn leader when my sister can't make it. Can you say your name? Look at the camera. Say your name. Speak up louder.
And I love to dance. And I like to go to school. And I love go to church. And I love my mom Carol. And I love popsicle.
Oh, you love popsicle.
And my name is E-F-A-R-Y. And I love myself.
Oh, you love yourself. Can you say your name a little bit louder for everybody to hear?
I am Emory.
Okay. Emory. Right. Your turn, Daddy.
My name's Doug Gilbert. I've been married to my wife, Marianne, for 5 years now. I kind of got adopted into the church. I started coming with her when we first started dating, and yeah, that's pretty much, I pretty much come when they're here or special occasions. But yeah, I pretty much got adopted into the church,
and you help Keith.
And I help Keith with the streaming services for our mass. We have it on Sundays if he needs help. So yeah, and I enjoy doing that and try to help out when I can.
We're going to let this one go with her aunt, though.
Wait, before she goes, can you tell my friends at home what you like to call when you come to church?
What's church? What do you say when you're coming to church? What is this? Is this a party with Jesus? Speak out loud. Say it louder. Yeah, look at the camera and say what we call church. What do you call church?
Party Jesus.
Party with Jesus.
Party with Jesus.
That's right? We have a party with Jesus every Sunday, right?
Yes, we do.
All right. Well, thank you for coming to join us. You're going to pass it that way?
Yep.
All right.
Go right back.
Thank you, Emmy.
I got my balloon.
Okay, grab your balloon.
Grab your balloon. That's what church is all about.
It is.
See the kids. And I'll tell you what, that's one thing since I've joined is what's nice is to see we have more families coming to church and to see the little ones and to see all the kids up there for the Sunday sermon.
Yeah.
Remember when we at one point we had to have sometimes just you or Carol holding Emmy when she was a little baby. Mm-hmm. That was the Sunday.
Or we had to push Lucas sermon up there.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. But even though he was like 18 or 19, we were like, okay, Lucas, going up.
Yep. But so that's cool. And today we're talking about family and you are a little family here. And when you think about a family's faith journey, what moments or habits stand out the most in that?
It's tough because I feel like specifically with my faith journey, I've been coming to church since I was an infant, just months old. I actually started coming to this church when I was 2. So I don't really remember much of that. So the start of my faith journey I don't really have a start unless you count the day I was born. But I think my faith journey with Douglas started when we started dating because you weren't a very big churchgoer.
Mm-hmm.
So his faith journey started a lot with me. He was baptized Catholic, but he started coming to church with me more often.
Right.
So that kind of began his faith journey, and then I just kept that going with my kids. And like any journey, you have your ups and downs. So some downs with my faith journey would have been, getting diagnosed with diabetes when I was young, figuring out our wedding through the whole pandemic, losing my father right before Emory was born, losing jobs, getting jobs, the highs. We were able to get married. We adjusted our initial plan, got married in the parking lot. So there was the good in that. And then having our big wedding ceremony, and then, losing my dad, but getting my daughter type of a thing. So, but it's just one thing that I always knew God and Jesus would help direct me in the way I needed to go. And I think what helps me with that is one of Nikki's sermons that she had one Sunday was that people love to talk about how God only gives you the things you can handle. But she actually had a whole sermon about how there's actually no Bible verse that states that. It actually states that God helps you through what you're given. So he's not the one putting the bad in. He's the one that's helping you guide you through the bad. And so I guess with my faith journey with my family is I know that God's there to help me with my family. What about you?
I mean, my journey, like I said, it kind of, it definitely started when I was young. Like Marianne said, I was baptized Catholic. So, going through the church, being Catholic, every Wednesday I would go to CCD after school. So we would do a lot of activities, watched a lot of VeggieTales. And we were getting ready to do our communion and, things like that. So like I said, it started when I was a child, and then, once I got through my communion and, I completed that. It started kind of fading away from the church, for a while. And then, like I said, when, I started dating Marianne, that's when I started coming to church more often. So yeah, it's but I've again, like I said, she has expressed a lot of our ups and downs. Same thing, losing jobs, gaining jobs. With me, particularly when I was younger, I kind of felt left out. I wasn't really popular in school, didn't really have a lot of friends, so kind of felt a little isolated. But I always just kept faith that one day I would meet somebody and start a family, and that's what happened. So you just got to keep your faith and hope things work out. You don't ever want to give up.
And then once we decided we were going to get married and have kids, we had that discussion too about what was important to us. And I did tell him that it was important that my kids had some type of a spiritual faith understanding, and that it was important to me for them to come to church on Sundays because that's how I was raised, and it was important to me. And he and I had discussions. He goes, well, what if they want to play sports and their sports are on Sundays? And I said, I get sports, but faith is also very important. And I feel like faith might be able to help them through more hardships than sports, and I know not everybody feels that way. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but he and I came to an understanding that we'll find them a sport that doesn't play on Sundays, so that way they could have both. And that's how we adjusted that. And on the rare occasion, I'm still here and I have one kid, but my son is with my mother-in-law, so she gets to spend time with them. But other than that, they're here almost every Sunday with me, and they love it, and the church loves them, and that's all I could really ask for.
Well, and that's at our church, the age variation from Emory to our oldest member is 90 years old, 90 plus years old, So there's a great variance in that, and I think it helps everybody. It helps the children, but it also helps
the older
members. And like we talked last week about everyone, and we've talked. This has been the message in most of the discussions at the table, is that the influence that the older people of our church, the grandparents of us, because there are some people that are grandparents to me here. I mean, there are some people that are parents to me too. I mean, I have, my mother's still alive, but there are some men in my life that are in this church that are filling in for my dad right now sometimes, and it does make a big difference. And Doug, I feel your feelings, because I was also baptized Catholic, and when coming into the Presbyterian church, and you learn some things and traditions that are different, and that's where I want to see this channel going to. Is it's okay to, because we all worship the same God.
I feel like that's one of the greatest things about specifically Christianity is it's not just one viewpoint or understanding. There's so many denominations that you could learn from, that Catholic might not be the one for you, but Presbyterian might fit better, or Lutheran, or Methodist, or UCC, or Baptist. There's so many different denominations with different understandings, that if this one's not the one speaking to you or connecting with you, but that doesn't mean there isn't one that wouldn't.
And that's important, because there's always a church somewhere for there's churches everywhere, and like Doug said, I strayed away for a few years myself, and remember Mike Silvoy, who was the sexton before I became we call it a custodian now, but the sexton is the official title.
I miss his hugs.
And he was, kept saying, you should come try out my church, my church, and he's a Catholic too, and you should come out and try. And I'm like, no,
You know what's amazing is we got Mike to really start coming because we had our church cantata, and we were having sound system issues. And because he had done a lot with the school, with the music program, they called him up. He came, he fixed it, he had what we needed. He knew how, so he was able to help with the sound system. And from there, that's when he became the sexton and started helping us with special events.
You brought me in for the Sunday service for Easter.
COVID hit, and we had to do an outdoor Easter service. And we called in a certain guy to help.
Radio frequency.
And then a wedding happened a month and a half later.
That was quick, yeah.
And then you never left.
And I was welcome in the family.
That's all it takes.
And that's all it takes.
And as we like to say, especially with stewardship just happening, like everybody has gifts to bring.
And then you just answer my second question, because how the church shapes you. You tell them how it shaped me and shaped you, and did it right there. It's just interesting how, and it's awesome. And for those at home that are watching faithfully, and if we talk a lot about this church, it's because it's a mighty powerful little church, a little
small but mighty.
Small but mighty.
Yeah. And the thing is, Emory loves coming to church. When we tell her it's Sunday morning, she goes, I don't want to go to school. It's like, oh, we're not going to school. We're going to church. She goes, going to church? And she'll perk up, and then we'll get her dressed. And even Walter loves coming to church. They're like walking in the parking lot, how they'll run in, and they have their people here. They love everybody, but they have their people here. Like, they love Miss Heather.
Yep.
Heather Barrett. They love Heather. And they love Miss Sammy, the nursery attendant. They love Linda, and they love Miss Amanda, because Miss Amanda gives them chips and cookies.
We were talking about Catholicism. No, we
were talking about
it comes up a lot
people
in my
the
conversation, because it does. It really does. you know, but I'm telling you, my first I think it was Emery's baptism. Did she get baptized outside?
No. She was
Who
baptized
got,
inside.
who got married? Who got baptized outside? Someone.
I was pregnant.
Right before
my wedding.
we had a baptism.
Yeah, my
And
big wedding.
And I'll never forget it. We brought that big thing out, you know, the baptismal font. We brought it out, and as we're getting ready to like put things away, I pulled the bowl out. And I said to Nikki, I said, "What am I supposed to do with this? Like, you know, the Catholic people. This is holy water. We gotta put it in a bottle and save it, you know." And she goes, "Oh, I forgot. You're Catholic. So, here, let me show you what we do. The Presbyterians, we take the bowl and we water the flowers." And it's
Right.
the palpitations of the heart, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we joke about a lot of things. There's a lot of innuendos, and you know.
Yep.
You know, we don't want to. Yeah.
Yeah.
We want kids to be part of it. We want crying babies to be in the sanctuary, not hide them in a
It's
glass.
funny because
glass
we
dome.
had that family fellowship time right after fellowship with Kathy Johansson was doing that about the family, the young families, and we were talking about that actually, about how kids making noises in church and this and that, and there were some really old people or visitors that kind of had an issue with it, and I mentioned, and I've been at churches where the old biddies do not like when kids make noises in church. And so I had made a comment to Nikki about it, and Nikki flat out said, someone has an issue with Walter at the time or Emory, if any of them making a noise in church, they can take it up with me. She goes, because there's nothing more precious or God-given than a young child making happy babbling noises in church. And I had mentioned that to the other family that was in there with baby Luca. I said, when we were doing a prayer and he just
I remember that. Yeah,
said something, Carol was like,
He
oh,
let out.
he wanted to pray too. And I said, there's nothing more
And there's
precious.
nothing wrong with that. And a lot of churches have the fishbowl, the glass room.
Yeah. And I feel like it's
with
because
the fan in it, so it ventilates.
there's a lot of families today where the parents just let the kids cry and they don't do anything about it. And I think that's put a bad rap on kids making noises.
Mm-hmm.
Now my kids are very talkative. They make a lot of noise, which is why I'm very fortunate for having the nursery for services that they can go to, and they pop their head in with Sunday school at the time, and they can help out with that. But
yeah, and for those at home that that don't know, we do have a nursery. We're very fortunate to have a nursery in such a small church that we have a teacher come in licensed. She's certified, and and she comes in and spends time with the kids, and then we have other people back up in case we have more kids. So and then we have and then one of the things we do, unlike Wednesday, we have our Sunday school during our Sunday service too, which is good too. You know, so they come in the beginning and hear their sermon, and then go on, and that helps. I mean, probably helps. That helps your faith with your child, because it helps. I think. I mean, I never had to do that yet. I mean, not here at least. But does that help? That helps you, I'm sure.
it does. I mean, Emory goes out to nursery from the get-go, but when she gets, I think next year she'll start Sunday school. So she'll be in to sit with it and listen and then go out. But she asks questions a lot about Jesus and God. Like she'll just make a random comment, be like, Jesus loves this. We're like, you're right, he does. Or she'll talk about how she loves Jesus, or this is her favorite. We'll be in the car and she'll be like, can you put on Jesus music? I'm like, okay. So we'll just put on Jesus music. Like right before we started, she sang to Linda, I've got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. And now we're going to work with Linda to sing in church. But
we need a children's choir eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually. But and even Walter, they do both enjoy coming, and they have left their mark on this church. Because you talked about the age difference, and you were here the day that we announced I was pregnant.
Yeah.
To the congregation, I was pregnant with Emory, because she was the first baby born to the church in a while. It was about like 15, 16 years before we had a baby born in the church.
Mm-hmm.
And the tears we had from people, the hugs, it wasn't just our baby. It was the church's baby.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And
from the get-go,
right.
It was the Emory was the church's baby.
The grandparents and parents of the church family become the family of yours. Right. It really does.
And it's one of those things too. It's we're so fortunate for our church that with today's society, you never know what's going to happen. if we're ever out and like, especially out here in town, if something ever happens and she and I get separated, but I know she sees someone from church, I know for 100% fact, she gloms onto that person from church. She's going to be safe no matter what. If something was to happen at the church and we get separated, I am not for 1 minute questioning who she gets, who grabs her to take her out. I know she and Walter both will always be protected and taken care of until we can get to them.
Our reading later today is Deuteronomy, and it's Deuteronomy 6. And that reminds us to impress God's word on our children. What does that look like in a modern family today?
That's a tough one. I mean, for us, we just try to teach Emory and Walter the beauty that God gives to us every day. Like, she always asks where the sun is. We're like, oh, the sun's sleeping. And we kind of explain to her that the light and the dark and God and Jesus and this. And God gave us this beautiful day where God felt we needed to have the rain today to help make things beautiful. We just try to put it in simple terms for her.
Right.
That she's not going to be confused. More so her than Walter, because Walter's just...
He's still too little to understand.
But I think that's Tim Swanson in his interview said this, that, faith is everywhere. Church, prayer and faith are everywhere. It's, it's in the impressive sunrise, or like you were saying, or, like where does that come from, Mommy? Where's the sun? And God created everything for us, and there's a reason for everything. And I think that helps a little bit too.
Mm-hmm. And we also teach her that angels are everywhere. Guardian angels are there looking out for us. Specifically, my dad as her guardian angel will pass a cemetery and she goes, "Hi, Pops." Like she'll just talk to him because she knows his spirit is there guiding her, and she'll have full-blown conversations with him. Huh? And then she'll talk about how morning loves Popsicle and Popsicle loves morning, and we'll pass any cemetery you pass. "Hi, Popsicle. Bye, Popsicle. I love you, Popsicle." So she understands that he's around, even though she doesn't actually see him, which just melts my heart.
And that she's her namesake is
my dad.
Your dad's last name.
So is Walter.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I didn't think of Walter. I just realized that right now.
You just realized my son is named after my father.
Duh. I didn't really. No, really, I didn't put that
2 and 2 together.
No, I really didn't. Yeah. That is okay. Okay, senior moment. Okay. I didn't really put that together until now. Seriously, I'm like, okay.
Where do you think we got the name?
Well, Little Walter. That's why Little Walter. I didn't. Okay. Sorry. Okay. How do you weave faith into your daily routines at home? Meal times, bedtime, family.
Well, we do a prayer before bed almost every night for Emory. Not so much Walter because he's still in that. You got to rock him and this and that. But Emory, we say prayers almost every night. For dinner. Specifically when we are sitting down around the table, we'll say grace. And like we were talking about, like with family discussions, we'll weave it in there about how, we're thankful that God gave us you, that we're thankful for, God gave us a beautiful day and things like that. Just to let them know that God's always, you might not see him, but you can feel him. You can trust that he's there and that he's guiding her in some way. Do you have anything to add?
I mean, as far as family discussions go, or even like bedtime, we always sang, or we always read we have prayer books, so they read the story of Noah's Ark or Moses or things like that. And so she enjoyed those books, and it kind of helps her get a picture understanding of things. With Noah's Ark, how he got 2 of every animal onto the boat. So she sees those things, and it kind of helps her understand those events. And she does enjoy reading those.
What are some challenges that you've faced raising your children so far in the faith? Or if you hadn't any, that could be too.
I feel like sometimes the challenge is it's more of when they start acting up and what the kids are starting to do. It makes you you wonder why they're acting that way. And then I think that's the challenge is, again, it goes back to what I had stated earlier about with the, God helps you handle things. So it's remembering that God will help you through those tantrums, through those, the illnesses, through the sicknesses, through if they're having, trouble with a friend, if they're having things like that. And I think that's where the challenges come. Mm-hmm. And you don't necessarily think of it with faith or even just making time to come to church sometimes, where it's just as easy, they had a long day, but no, we still got to come to church. Because I feel like even coming to church is just a strong way to show them that as difficult or as busy as life can get, there is always time to know that God is there for you.
You gotta kind of just put your trust that God and faith will get you through these events, whether it's like you said, kids being sick or kids not listening or things aren't going the way you want them to in life. So you got to just put your faith that there will be a light at the end of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
You will get through it. It's not always easy, and it never will be always easy. But you got to keep your faith that God will give you the strength to persevere and push forward, and things will be okay.
And I'm not divulging anything, but over their short lifespan so far, we've had some situations with both kids,
yes,
that have really taxed you a little bit on that,
mm-hmm.
and with health-related issues and so forth.
Yes.
So you've had your challenges.
Yes,
and
especially with Walter. Well, Emory's had more viral infections that have caused her to be very sick, but she hasn't really had many hospitalizations. Walter has had a few. So, and I think the scariest one, which I think God helped us, it happened for a reason. And if it wasn't for when he was 2 months old, we took him to the hospital because he was retracting. He had a really bad viral respiratory infection. He had the adenoid virus, which is thickening of the mucus, so he couldn't breathe. He was in the PICU on high flow oxygen, and his nurse at the PICU said, I think he has laryngomalacia. And I'm like, what? She goes, it has to do with his larynx and his breathing and his vocal cords and his airway. She goes, I hear it. I think he has it. I think you should get him tested. Okay. So when we got discharged 2 days later, went to his pediatrician. I mentioned it, that his nurse said this, and the doctor on call said that it was a possibility, and to follow up with you. And she gave us a referral to an ENT. Took him to the ENT. They did a scope, and they said, yep, he's got it, which is all. And what the condition is, it's the larynx isn't strong enough to hold itself up. And he had all this excess tissue around his vocal cords, so it would all collapse into his airway.
Wow. And
cut off his oxygen flow.
Mm-hmm.
So it caused him to have issues sleeping, caused him to have issues eating. We went through feed therapy. We went all cultivating in. When he was 9 months old, he had surgery to remove all the excess tissue.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. And then from there, because we had already been with the ENT, we ended up finding out that he had swelling of his adenoids as well, and that he wasn't draining like he should have been in his ears. And then this past June, May, he had more surgery to have his adenoids removed and tubes put in, and I feel like if it wasn't for that adenoid virus, we may not have found out about his throat condition to
Right.
start making the appropriate
Mm-hmm.
remedies to try to help him more, and who knows what would have happened. So I think God put that in our path to help us find that sooner.
Mm-hmm.
That happens a lot with people. Something happens to find something more.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, you were at the right place at the right time. No, I think it was part of the plan.
Right.
It was part of God's plan for us, and I really think that. How has our church family supported you? You kind of said it a little bit, but is there a particular moment that maybe you remember more of where our church family supported you in raising your children in faith?
I don't think I can just pinpoint one moment, because since the moment I announced I was pregnant with Emory the first time, the love and support that came from the church, the wanting to make sure everything's okay, even from the people you don't really expect it from. So when I had Emory, it was a very trying time because Dad had just passed. I was getting induced with preeclampsia. There was a lot of other stuff going on. And people I didn't expect were reaching out to Nikki and asking her, have you heard anything? Has the baby been born? Is she okay? Is everything, is the people that I barely talked to were asking. And I told Nikki that she was, whatever information we gave her, she was able to pass on to anybody. So there was a lot of people checking in and out and visiting, and it was very heartwarming. And then with having Emory and Walter, especially with some of Walter's illnesses, because we're still having some issues with Walter with, allergies and rashes and this and that. And you can just mention it to one person and somebody might overhear, and they're giving you advice from their experience, saying, well, why don't you ask the doctor about, next time you go to the doctor, ask the doctor about this or ask about that. We had the exact same symptoms and it was this, or my best friend's kid, or my son's girlfriend's family, or somebody somewhere had a similar experience, that they're able to give me that additional advice. So where they say it takes the saying, it takes a village. Like the church is our village.
Mm-hmm.
We both have very large extended families, but at the heart of it all is still the church too.
Right.
Between having to go to my bell rehearsal, and there's Heather in here watching both of my kids so I can participate in the bell choir since my mom and my sister are both there. The Amanda having their chips and cookies set aside for them. They know they cut the line and they go straight back. And
So I'm not the only one that cuts the line, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
That makes me feel good. That explains how they get their food so quick. They cut the line.
or it's already done, or it's already sitting at their
Or
table.
already sit at the table. Why is it, we touch on this a little bit, but one of the things that I did this podcast is to try and hopefully help people out there in internet land, so to say, that may be struggling and not knowing, maybe their family they thought about taking their family to church and they just don't know. Why is it important for children to grow up? Because I'm in faith, and seeing faith in action, through service and things. As a parent, you've chosen to raise your children in faith. There are some parents out there that say, "Oh, I'm not." I bring a moment in one of the previous episodes. There's a person came to our church, and I don't want to really get into it, but there was an issue with the child, their child, and they came into the church, and they said, "Oh, we're not a church. we're not a religious family." And I was like, "Wow, maybe you should be." And I didn't want to sound too religious for her, but I'm sorry.
I get what you're
trying to
saying.
get.
I feel like, unfortunately, like anything in the news, you only hear the bad. News reporters, social media, news outlets, verbally, people don't talk about good things. Most of what people talk about is what's negative happening out in the country. So I think that's part of why religion in general, and attendance across the board, across all different churches, different denominations, it's there's such a decline, because all you hear is about the bad. You don't hear about this church did all of this charity work, all this mission work, all this, all that. You hear about the negative aspect of the Catholic priests and all the bad rap they get. You hear about the hardcore Baptist churches of the South with the fire and the brimstone, and you have to believe this way and you have to believe that way, making it almost cult-like, that it turns a lot of people away, that they don't feel that the church community, the Christian community, is really there to help. It's more of, it's help with, you know, like some type of a tie to it. Like you have to do something back for them. And that's just because of all the negative stories that have come out and gone around. But if you actually look, if you when you start coming and you come to a church like ours and you realize you don't have to really give back to the church. Would we love you to? Of course. But that's one thing I like about our church, that they don't expect you. We don't expect people when they walk in the door that they have to join, that they have to get involved, that they have to give money, that they have to give food. Just come. Build connections. If you want to join us and be with us, great. But you don't have to. If you want to just come to church every Sunday and sit in a pew, listen to the scriptures, listen to the sermon, and go home, you can. We don't, and I think that's where people don't realize that that's what a lot of churches are. Mm-hmm. Come, give what you can if you can. You don't have to. Mm-hmm. We are here to help you. If you need help, this church is so great at giving back to people that if someone was to come to the office and say, I'm really having trouble getting groceries, would anybody be willing to help me make some meals? I can name off the top of my head about 10 people, 10 families that will gladly help cook casseroles or cook meals and deliver it to them to help them. Or the way our community just helps more of the elderly that have to get to a doctor's appointment that can't drive, or to give back, and how much we give back to the community. Yeah. Just the yard sale alone with what we do. Mm-hmm. And that's part of why I like to bring our kids, because they can learn that it's not just about receiving things. It's also about giving your time and your patience and your love to something.
As Nikki puts it, your time, your talent, and your treasure, or your treasure. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be money. It doesn't have to be money.
And sometimes people just want to sit and talk. Mm-hmm. So if you have nothing else to give or don't know what you could give, just sit and talk. Some of the best stories you could hear are from people at church.
And I wish I had a camera for some of those stories in the past I had. Yep. You know, I've said that Ed West. Have a camera on Ed West.
He had some of the best stories. My dad had a lot of good stories. Yep. Ed Freeborn had great stories.
Well, I'm going to get him on. He's still around, so I'm going to get him on.
Ed Freeborn had really good stories.
Yep. Tim Swanson be a guest. He doesn't know, but he's going to be a guest.
Tim Swanson has some great stories.
Oh, he has a lot of the Tim Talk. That's one. My next show is going to be called the Tim Talk.
Even Quentin Curry has some
I'm working on him.
Wonderful.
I'm working on him. Quentin Curry is a legend.
But on the female side of things, there's a lot of people you could talk to, like Bonnie Miller is another great one to talk to. Like talking to Nikki, she always has a great.
Nikki's been my host. She's been my guest twice, and she's slotted for one more session before this episode series is over. So cool. Well, we're at that section where I do encouragement. This is the section. Just to give folks at home a little encouragement. If you could give advice what advice would you share with new parents? Because and who would want to build faith-filled homes? What one thing? Give me one piece of advice you would give new parents.
Encouragement. Because at some point, even if you don't go to church, if you don't really talk about it at home, it's going to come back because kids talk. So even if you're not taking your child, they're going to go to school, they're going to watch a TV show, they're going to watch a movie, and it's going to get brought up. God's plans, God's path. It's going to get brought up and they're going to ask questions. I don't think brushing it off, I don't think changing the topic is going to help. I think, and even if you don't understand or don't believe it, I think you need to have a discussion and tell them why you don't necessarily have the beliefs of God. But I wouldn't try to influence your kids to not want to explore it. Now, I understand when they're tiny, 4, 5, 6, it's going to be harder, but have an open discussion with them if they bring it to you within reason of their age. But then if they're older and they ask again, I wouldn't push it to the side.
I would say don't discourage them from following their own path. Now, your path might be different than theirs, and you can have discussions about that, and that's perfectly fine. Like Marianne said, you as a parent might not necessarily believe or faith, your faith might not align with other people's, but as your children get older and they have these experiences in life and they hear things and see things, just have a discussion with them of what are your thoughts on this, or things like that. Don't ever say no, you have to do what I do, you can't believe or you can't have faith or anything like that. You have to kind of just support them in their decisions of what they want.
Good point. And how can families remind themselves that faith isn't about perfection, it's about presence? And you kind of touched on that a little bit, but
it's about presence. It's understanding that God's always there. He's there when you need him. Even if you feel you don't need him, he is still there, behind you, backing you, sending his angels, his saints, his people to you to help guide you. And even if you don't realize it, it could be, there are signs everywhere that God is showing you if you're making a right path or a not right path, be it if you believe in him or not. So there are signs everywhere that help you know if you made the right choices or not. And I think one that's sticking in my mind right now is, my sister had just started a new job, and one of her old employees came back to her, and it was a bad situation with why her employee left her old employer. And she told Carol, she was like, I had so many signs today that told me I made the right decision. She goes, she had a lot of numbers, symbols with her parents who have both passed. And she goes, I had this number show up. I had that number show up. This crossed my path today and this and that. So let her know that she made the right choice. And from my understanding, I don't think she is one of the biggest believers in faith. But
she will be now.
There's God's presence showing you in different ways that he is there to help you if and when you decide you need him.
Can you give one small way families can, one small way every family could do, something they can do this week to bring God into their daily rhythm?
I feel like it's just as easy as when you wake up in the morning, thanking God for letting you wake up.
Well, that's the thing. Just waking up. Thank you, God, for another day. Thank you for the beautiful sun, for the sunrise.
Thank you for my family. Thank you for our health. Sometimes it's just as simple as just saying a quick thank you.
Gratitude. Being grateful for what you got.
All right.
Very true. Very true.
Sometimes I think the smallest steps can help you, or the smallest stone can help you build this big, beautiful pathway that you need to find your inner peace with faith.
And what I'm finding out talking to people, it doesn't have to be anything big. It could be something so minute and so small that the littlest things just kind of.
You know, the saying is, if you have the faith of a mustard seed.
Okay.
There's that whole scripture about
Yeah.
it. That all it takes is the faith the size of a mustard seed.
That's
A little bit.
Teeny
really
tiny.
little.
And
Little.
fun fact, when I graduated high school, I was in the choir at the time. So still in the choir. The choir got me graduation gifts, and the congregation got me graduation gifts, and the session got me a graduation gift. So I got a beautiful pink Bible because everybody knew pink was my favorite color.
Mm-hmm.
The choir all gave money, and they got me a beautiful gold cross necklace, and in the center of which was a mustard seed.
Get out.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
I still have it.
That's pretty cool.
But that's all it takes is the faith the size of a mustard seed.
All
And
things.
anything is possible.
Well, that comes to a time for our family challenge. Okay? Each week we give the folks at home a simple challenge, and no one's commenting that they're doing these. I hope they're doing these.
Well, that's rude.
So comment. Let me know that you did this activity at home. And we're calling today's activity the Faith in Action at Home. Choose an intentional way to bring faith into your home this week and share, whether it be a shared prayer, a bedtime devotion, or simply a conversation about gratitude. We talk about gratitude. Mm-hmm. Let faith live where your family gathers and laughs and grows together. I mean, try that. I mean, we talked about that's every day you do that. So that's good. You're
And sometimes we add it even
So
more
there-
than just bedtime
when-
prayer. It's she goes, I want to listen to Jesus music. Okay.
and when this airs, put a comment down there for me. So
You got it.
We'll do.
And now we're going to do our Bible verse of the day. Each week we do a Bible verse. And today's Bible verse, like we talked about earlier, is Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4 to 9, which says, Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road and when you lie down and when you get up. And we talked about that a lot today, and it must be working for you. See that? This passage reminds us that faith begins at home, and God calls us to love Him with our heart, our whole heart, and let that love overflow into daily life, in our conversations, our routines, and in the way we guide our children. When we talk about God's love in the ordinary moments of the day, we build a foundation of faith that can carry through every generation. Which it really does, and it is powerful.
Right.
Well, that was a good conversation today. And I was, I go some of these topics. I go, hopefully, but it was good. It was a good conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's tough because like you ask these questions and it's like, well, how do we do it? But we have made it such an integrated part of our life that sometimes it's hard to answer and it's hard to express to people on how to do it if it's something that's just natural to us.
Right. But that's the purpose of what we're doing is maybe someone watching this maybe in that situation and hey, that was it. Yeah.
And
That
because I know
Mary Ann, she said
it was
that Doug said
difficult for
something.
him, but it wasn't difficult for me to do it with the kids because it's how I was raised.
Right.
That's my parents my parents went to church every Sunday. They had me and my sister come to church every Sunday. So I do that with my kids and we've adjusted it that if he wants to come, he comes. If he doesn't want to come, he doesn't have to.
Well, he needed to come today. I needed him today when we
I
almost
told
burned
him
our
that.
church down.
I told him that earlier.
If you want to watch a good one, watch. This is actually aired on. That we're actually recording this on the 16th of November.
Yeah.
So check out East Stroudsburg Presbyterian YouTube channel, the 16th of November service when we did our All Saints. Most of the churches do it around Halloween, but we do it usually in the middle of November. And when we almost had a fire catastrophe in our church, and Mary Ann with a small glass of water. Here, put that fire.
Put it
out.
in here. Put it in here. I had a wet rag too in case we needed it.
and part of the problem of being, a small church, I'm the custodian, but I'm also the tech guy. So I can't be downstairs putting out the fire and then turning the camera to, the camera was still in the pulpit when I'm trying to put out the fire. Go, oh no,
Right.
So, but
It's all good. We made it work. We didn't burn down the church.
Our 9 viewers at home.
I
felt
did
like they were
joke.
there.
Maybe we should have let it happen.
For those that don't know, our church, our
And then we
original
could have
church,
rebuilt
burned down in 1967.
I said it would solve our roof issue.
It would solve our roof.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry,
now it's time for
I didn't
some
mean
prayer.
that.
Well, no, now it's time for some prayer after that one. We have to pray.
I'm
We're going to
bad,
say a
I'm sorry.
special prayer for you. Folks at home, would you pray with us? Loving God, thank you for the gift of family. Help us create homes where your love is felt, where your word is spoken, and where grace shapes every moment. Strengthen parents, guide children, and let our family shine with your presence. We pray this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Wow, that was amazing. And thank you very much to Marianne and Doug and Emory, who's not here right now, but she was a good start of the program. And party for Jesus, party with Jesus.
Hey, if you want to party with Jesus and you're not a member,
Every
come
Sunday,
join us on Sunday.
East Stroudsburg Presbyterian services every morning.
I still think we should put that
11
out
a.m.
on the
Party,
marquee. Come party with Jesus.
But our college neighbors might think that's a different
Kind of
party.
party. Yeah,
Maybe
true.
they need some Jesus. In
Well,
their life.
hey, then they'll just have to have jammies and Jesus.
Right.
Jesus, was that Jesus and jammies, Matthew? Right? Jesus and jammies. We're gonna have a new event. You want to come? We're hopefully the session approved it today. It's called Jammies and Jesus, right? Jesus,
our outreach.
Jesus and jammies.
Our outreach program that we wanted to do. Let's see if they.
Well, hey,
We got a lot of good ideas
we're getting there.
for you, the people.
Yeah.
And if we build it, you will come.
Right.
Well, we'd like to thank you for watching our Family, Faith, and Friends podcast. We hope today's conversations inspired you. Every Monday, we'll be walking and talking with families, youth, community leaders, and friends who inspire you and challenge you in your own walk of faith. Don't forget to subscribe. A lot of people are watching. We're getting viewers, but we're not subscribing. So please help us by subscribing. The little button below us is a subscribe button, and then a little bell. If you click that little bell, it will then allow you to know when we air every Monday, of course. And then hit the like button. So, because help the analytics of. Did you like and subscribe yet?
I have not.
Oh, okay. How about you, Doug? Did you subscribe yet?
Not yet.
Okay,
But
well,
I will.
I know.
I'm working
I
on
know.
it. You get two.
I know we will be up to at least 22 by the end of the day.
Right.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the notification bell because it helps us. And if you didn't drop a comment below. Let us know what you're thinking about what we're doing and what you thought of this episode. Follow us on social media, even though our social media isn't up yet because I've neglected to do that. But we're going to get our social media and we're going to get up there, trust me. And share this with someone. Share this podcast with someone who needs encouragement today. And we'd like to thank you again for joining us. And remember, every Monday morning, well, at least for this series at 10 a.m. And until next time, remember, with family, faith, and friends, together we grow.